Aloha, y'all. Welcome back to the Breaking Normal podcast. Man, the last episode was with a local CU student, a black Cherokeean power lifter who escaped a cult and a stalker. Quite the interview. We did that one on video, and we might be doing this one on video too. So you can start maybe checking out these more consistently, not only on Spotify and iTunes, but also YouTube. Yeah, I'm so used to saying YoUberTube, but YouTube. I am here. I've been excited to do this podcast for a while. I'm here with my friend Anthony Labdansky. We were just talking about his last name. I like that it has Dan in it.
Mm-hmm.
I had someone recently text me, last name Downs.
Mm-hmm.
He said, Anthony the Barber told me about Tribe Vitamins.
Mm-hmm. I've been telling a lot of people. And did you notice that sale the other night in Boulder? My buddy Jonas Leuenberger.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we were making music together. We were talking about it, and he just like pulled up the website and ordered them on the spot.
Oh, I think I hand delivered his with a book.
Yep, and he was grateful for that.
Yeah, usually if it's a Boulder connection, I'm like, this probably deserves a Breaking Normal book as well.
He's a really special guy. Unfortunately, he's moving back to Switzerland in June for 1 year with his family, but he's one of my best friends, and we collaborate on music all the time. He's an incredible producer.
Well, I'm excited to get to know about your music passion. I definitely want to talk about you being a barber, because I fancy myself as a bit of a connector, and I think even Ubering, the YoUberTube gig and lifting in Boulder, it really thickens the plot of the synchronicities of that. But I think with you being in the center of Pearl Street, your shop, Rollins Barber Shop on 17th and Pearl, how many years have y'all been there?
It'll be 7 this summer.
And how long have you been there?
7. I opened it.
Okay.
I nailed. If you look at the floor, it's all nailed in there, and I always like to say, every one of those nails I hammered in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it has a vibe, and it makes sense that you started it and that you've been there for 7 years. There's 7 years. That's sometimes a cycle for certain things.
Absolutely.
Because it's such a cool vibe. It's such a cool location. I mean, you got to come to Boulder if you've never been, and Pearl Street's sort of like the epicenter of it, and kind of around where you're at.
Yeah, the east side, when I started 7 years ago, was I give a lot of credit to Vaj, the owner of Boxcar, for sort of starting a new wave of the east side. And now it's become, like, I feel like we're a bit of a hub for like young, hip businesses that are can't afford the rent of the bricks, on the Pearl Street Mall. So you go either east or west, and I feel like the east side is definitely the hip side right now.
And Boxcar was definitely like my original hub for coming to downtown Boulder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm going to Boxcar, and y'all are right across the street. And your place is awesome. You have a pronghorn on the wall.
Yes, we do.
A pronghorn for you.
That's shout out to Ben Tim, who was a barber that worked for me for a long time. That's actually belongs to him, but I think it's on a lifetime loan.
No, I can relate. I have a painting of a bison in my place on a similar type of situation.
Yeah. And then we have a white-tailed deer in the back, which was shot by one of my best friends from the East Coast, his dad, who's a legendary character from Pennsylvania, which is where I'm from, Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania.
Well, the pronghorn is an amazing animal to me, because bison and pronghorn roam these lands at similar times. And the pronghorn is such an interesting species. It's the fastest land animal of North America, just like bison is the biggest land mammal. And they're both indigenous to this land. And I imagine their meat is medicine, and it has been for a very long time. However, pronghorn are different because I don't think that they're only hunted. I don't think they are farmed. A lot of people also call these antelope. But I'm a big believer that just like as the Tribe Vitamins passion was built upon filling the gap in the market, that beef liver was booming and that no one was encapsulating 100% grass-fed, grass-finished bison liver and other organs. And my dream would be to do the same with pronghorn, because bison are the biggest and most resilient, and they go into the storm, and I am part of the herd. But pronghorn are the fastest.
Have you seen them in person?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
There's a lot in Colorado.
Yeah, I've seen them driving out to Gunnison and Crested Butte. There's like those big, massive flatlands, and at one time I saw a pack of them, and it was like it almost looked so surreal with how they move.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've never been to that part of Colorado, it's worth the trip just to check out the pronghorns.
And to get your juices flowing, there's a great book called, I think it's called American Serengeti by maybe Dan Brown or something like that. But he really talks about each of the indigenous species of this land. And I am a believer, like, consuming the essence of animals that are the best.
Right.
And pronghorns seem to be those.
As opposed to like eating, obviously, the horrors of mass produced meat. If you've ever, that's another part of Colorado that everyone should go see, out by Greeley, just to see how absolutely depressing and horrible mass cattle farming is. It should be illegal. I mean, it's torturing animals, and when I've never been close enough, but I can guarantee you, if you get close to those cows, you can see it in their eyes how trapped and how abused they are. And of course, I'll admit I'm guilty of eating low quality meat at times if I'm traveling and I grab a burger somewhere. But I think people that are eating that meat on a consistent basis are, unbeknownst to them, are suffering from not only the energy transfer, but of course there's no nutrients in that meat.
And there might be even stuff in the meat that you don't want, especially if they're eating a diet like high in grain, loaded with glyphosate. And it's argued there's no nutrition, but I say that look at the pronghorn run through the prairie. It looks like a bird flying. It's like, I think it's more closely related to giraffe. And what it was is they only had they're not antelope, but that's what we call them. For some reason. And they're a unique species. And I guess they were hunted by the cheetah, like in the North American cheetah. And now that's not there.
And are there pronghorns in Africa still? I'm sure, right?
So I think pronghorn's indigenous to the North America.
Oh, wow.
And they look like an African sort of impala or antelope, but they are not, is my understanding. But this is something I'm so fascinated by. So anyways, y'all have done such a good job of cultivating such a cool, unique vibe, like a true, I don't even know much about the barbershop industry and history. Maybe you know more, and that's one of the reasons I'm excited to talk about that part of your life with you. But what a hub! I imagine you might know more people than anyone in Boulder for being here for 7 years.
I've been called the mayor, and I don't take that on in an egotistical way, but I love connecting, and I love Boulder, and there's obviously pros and cons to any town, but yeah, I would say the largest value that I get from my barbershop, beyond money, beyond prestige and reputation, is the ability to connect with so many interesting people. Just yesterday, I had an incredible conversation with a guy that I've known for 7 years, but he never sat in my chair. He would always go to other barbers. Yesterday, he decided to sit in my chair, and we found out, within 30 minutes of cutting his hair, we found out that we had so much in common. And it's almost overwhelming with how, you and I, we've wanted to do this for a while, but I usually tell people, when you meet me, give me about a year to hang out, because not that, again, I cherish my own personal time, and not that I would like things to move faster, but I think that's the rhythm of life. And I think the barbershop, to your point, is an incredible a place to connect. And me being sort of, the owner and founder, co-owner and founder of the barbershop, allows me to meet so many incredible people, including you. So cheers to that.
Yeah, now it's got me thinking. I'm so excited about this and our connection and being able to hang out probably in less than a year since we've met. So thanks for that.
Yeah.
The workforce is like AI and this whole situation. I'm thinking AI robots are not going to take over barbershops, are they?
No, that's
not possible.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, barbering has always been deemed as recession proof, and we've proved to be pandemic proof too. Obviously, depending on the state you lived in, barbershops were shut down, but we were only shut down here in Colorado for a month and a half.
Wow.
And an interesting fact about the barbershop is Jared Polis lives right behind the barbershop.
Okay.
So if you go to my barbershop and look behind our building, you'll always see 3 unmarked black cars. Those are all state patrol, sort of secret service for Jared. And not to be political, but I don't know much about Jared, but I'm super grateful that he only shut us down during the pandemic for 6 weeks, whereas places like California were shut down for over a year.
Yeah, that's nutty.
Yeah,
that is crazy. And I think I do remember that.
It's ridiculous.
A haircut in there during that time.
Yeah, we were all masked up. Again, not going to inject opinion about that, but we made it through. And AI is not going to kill barbershops. At least not in our lifetime.
So it's like, I just think that people are listening to this and looking for like entrepreneurial, whether it's an investor, like, because I've heard nail salons could be a great investment. So whether it's an investor that's like looking to be an owner of a barbershop, or someone that's like, I'm going to start my own barbershop. Like, is this like, and and also I'm going to put the caveat in there that I've talked to a lot of people giving rides and such that are in the restaurant industry on Pearl Street. And it almost sounds like no one's profitable in the restaurant business. I don't know how that exactly works. I'm not in the intricates and the details. Maybe they're exaggerating. But like, what do you think about barbershop business?
Like the
in
actual,
a place like Boulder, like
the numbers and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, kind of. Whatever I'm not trying to get into the nitty gritty, but for entrepreneurs that are listening.
Yeah. It's one of the oldest sort of, like a service-based place, like a barbershop is a very simple kind of commerce, right? Like, you pay us money to do something. The overhead can be quite low because we're not actually, unlike a restaurant, like I don't have to buy a bunch of stuff. We're literally taking something away from you, your hair, and you pay us for it. So yeah, it's seemingly simple. I've found that it's a little bit more complicated than I thought it was over the years, but it is still quite simple. Is it profitable? Yes. Are you going to get rich off of one singular barbershop? No. Unless you have, 100 chairs in there. But for me, a 7-chair barbershop is profitable and definitely supplements my income in life. And if I were the sole owner, it could potentially support me. But I have, I share the barbershop with my business partner, Matt Chaves, who's an incredible dude and runs a lot of the back end of the barbershop, which allows me to not be so stressed out with all the finances and taxes and all that. But I think I've been encouraged over the years to open up multiple locations, but I don't really have a desire to do that based on, and that would be the way to like start making a substantial living, would be like have 5 locations. But I don't want to do that because I think that I don't want, what makes my barbershop special is its authenticity and the people that work there. And I want to nurture and care for the people that work there as much as I possibly can. And if I had 5 locations, I would lose touch with the people working in my barbershop, if I had multiple. And I don't want that. It's actually not my zone of genius. Like, I don't want to be managing huge swaths of people. So if you want to open a barbershop, go for it. But yeah, just, it's a human thing, right? So I know this is a long-winded answer to say you're not going to get rich, but sure, you can make a great living owning a barbershop.
Well, there's the part, the connection part, because you said that's by far the most valuable part to you, regardless of money.
It is.
But those connections, to me, it seems like if you, as a barber, and this is the same way I feel about Uber and Lyft, like to just Uber and Lyft as a living seems like that's going to be a tough path. But if you have other avenues that by connecting with people in your town that might have resources or connections that you don't have, and that there's such a similarity, like someone in a way they're giving you their trust to cut their hair, to take away something from them, and my passengers are giving me the trust to get to their place safely. So it's a valuable connection. I mean,
super.
Talking about people are stoked on those like 5-mile radius like Instagram ads, which I think could be amazingly beneficial. But you can also just meet everyone in your 5-mile radius,
absolutely,
and see what connections are awaiting. Yeah. So I see it as a barber, like if this is like, it almost seems like you're doing it kind of part-time-ish, because you go do all these car gigs and other things.
Correct.
So if you have other options that might create bigger business benefits and something else you're working on, I could see it being one of the most valuable businesses ever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think ultimately my goal is, I mean, the obvious next point of topic for me would be the hair product company that I am part of and educate for, which is called Highland. And that also came through a connection at the barbershop. And of course, it is a hair product company, so it lines up well with my skill set and owning a barbershop, but it is a separate business completely. But yeah, there's no doubt that there's no doubt that the connections from my barbershop will contribute to my long-term, wealth and business life.
Yeah, and it reminds me of like when I went to college, a very expensive college, Emory University.
Oh yeah, where's Emory again?
It's right outside of Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah. Got you.
It's a little bit of like anyone that didn't get into Duke goes there,
okay.
Or like the Harvard of the South. Like it is a cool spot. It's a very northeastern like bubble in the edge of Atlanta.
Yeah,
in a beautiful area.
Is it near Decatur?
Yep, it's in Decatur.
Yeah, I used to play at Eddie's Attic.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah.
It's an indicator. So that the Virginia Highlands, is that maybe where that's called? Eddie's Attic, man.
Yeah, Eddie's Attic was like a famous little. I think it's still there. It's a famous little like small venue for singer-songwriters and bands that are coming through town.
Well, that school, a lot of people would, because my younger brothers, one went to college for a semester, had a 5-year scholarship to swim, stopped. Other brother visited a college, never went. Sister never went. And like the main difference business wise for our businesses, because we're all entrepreneurs, is like they have a lot less debt. They got a lot less debt than I did. Like I started out, what was I doing? Like in a way what I was doing, but then people like, was it worth it? For me, I have like 10 friends from that college, and like each one of them is worth any amount of money.
Exactly.
So
that's how it was. That's how it was for me. I went to University of Toronto in Canada because my mom's Canadian. I'm a dual citizen. And my first choice was Manhattan School of Music, but my parents talked me out of it because it was so ridiculously expensive. And being a dual citizen of Canada, going to school in Canada was much cheaper, but still fairly expensive. And I paid off. I didn't pay off the debt until I was well into my 30s. And people say like, "Oh, is it worth it?" And for me, what you just said, it like. The connections that I made in school were worth any amount of money, but it still takes a toll on
amount of money.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So,
and it kind of bridges to this like idea of being in businesses, even service-based businesses, as a bigger picture business move in these demographics. Like there's certain demographics. Emory University, like the net worth of the people you're going to be hanging out with is most likely going to be extremely high. And if maybe whatever it might be, connections to having land to start a bison ranch, or someone that invests in companies because your roommate's dad does that, and like being in Boulder and cutting these people's hair, this is a high net worth.
It's the same
area.
Vibe. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't think you have to go to college to make friends in a high net worth area, but you could start a barbershop.
Exactly. No, if you have the people skills. I just had an experience yesterday with this college kid who just graduated with a business degree and could not communicate.
Oh, I can tell you a little bit about that too. Ooh.
And I actually ended up becoming visibly frustrated with him, and I don't want to use this word scold, but I should probably just use the word scold. I scolded this motherfucker, and I was like, dude, like he was just being so incredibly. He wasn't meaning to be cryptic, but he just didn't give me any direction. And then he accused me of like giving him what he thought was a bad haircut. And I completely put him in his place. Am I allowed to curse on this thing?
You can do it.
Okay. Yeah. So like in the end, thankfully I was able to like, he was happy. I was happy. We smoothed it out. But I was thinking to myself, his parents just spent all this money for him to go to CU Boulder Business School, which is, from what I know, a pretty good business school, and he can't even communicate with his barber on what kind of haircut he wants. That blows my mind, and it makes me 99% of the time when I meet college kids, I have hope and I'm stoked and I'm like, yes, this is the future. This dude, like this dude definitely makes me question, what a lot of these young kids are going to do in their careers. Because, and I think to your point, college is not necessary. That's absolutely true. And if you have good people skills and the ability to be part of a community like here in Boulder or wherever you are, I don't think you really need to go to college, and we all know we can educate ourselves without, institution. So
Yeah. Yeah, something came up when you were telling me about the haircut with him, because there's a lot of times when all right, this is an interesting little thing I'm realizing right now, that when I go into your barbershop, I actually do like to have a conversation. But almost like 90+% of the other times I go get haircuts, and this most of the time because I was like nomadic and I was just going to random spots. I just wanted to chill. I like almost fall asleep.
Yeah.
There was something about like someone playing with my head and like hair. I'm like, this is kind of like a massage.
Absolutely.
And I don't want her to ask me more questions, but I have the opposite. That's the cool thing about your shop. It is a vibe. Like, and I think how you said the most important things are the people you're working with.
Totally.
And that nurturing those relationships, and that you can definitely tell that. So I want to celebrate that you're able and cultivating that. And what's your opinion on that as a barber? Like
talking?
Like, yeah.
I think it is totally bespoke to the person's personality. And what I have found in my barbershop is that we have, of all the barbers that work, there are all very different. And I really love that. I don't want, if everyone had my personality, I would probably not want to work there. So I like that everyone's different. Some of our barbers are quiet. They don't actually talk, and people find them. It's like, there was one point where we almost wanted to put an option on the website when you booked, like I prefer no conversation. It's like if you get a massage, like you said, like I have a couple great massage therapists that I use here in town, and some of them talk a little too much, even though they're great at what they do. But I don't want to talk when I'm getting a massage.
That's true for me with massage too.
Yeah. As some people don't want to talk when they get a haircut. They find it to be a time where they can just shut off. So I have my personal personality, for better or for worse, is I'm going to talk, But if I feel it, if I could feel the energy, like this guy doesn't want to talk or whatever, I think I'm good at being like, okay, cool, I'm going to shut up. And I enjoy that sometimes, or sometimes you can just feel vibrationally that you're just not vibing with certain people. And I'm going to give you a good haircut no matter what. Even if I don't like you, I'm still going to give you a good haircut. But if I'm not vibing with you, then yeah, I'm probably going to shut off a little bit. And I think that's what it's all about. But I will say Rollins does have, I love it when it gets like to be really full of banter and people in every chair talking and laughing. Shout out to Banter Barbershop in Denver. My homie owns that. And that's a great name for a barbershop, is Banter.
It is.
Because that's what it's about sometimes. And if you look back, even, Coming to America, right? Is that the Eddie Murphy movie?
Oh, it sounds like, I don't know if I've seen that one though.
It's like the core of that, of a big portion of that movie is a black barbershop. And I was super influenced by the movie Barbershop with Ice Cube too.
Okay.
And I think I've definitely heard this, sentiment said before, is like the barbershop, specifically in the black community, was where a lot of young kids learned lessons and, could ask their elders about certain things. And I'm not claiming to have done that with my shop, but there have been times where, I'll have a 16-year-old kid sitting in my chair who I've been cutting since he was 12 or 10, and they ask me about, drugs or like, all the things that 16-year-old kids are curious about. And I think it's sort of cool that, and I sometimes I know the dad and the kid. And in a couple scenarios, like the kid would ask me about certain things. And then, I would talk to their dad and be like, yo, man, like, how's Joe doing? Like with this and that. And he's like, oh, you know about that? And I'm like, yeah, man, like he's been sharing that with me. That's huge for me. And I've also learned through being a barber that I actually really crave mentorship. I would love to mentor young men, or even peers, or anyone in the community that and it can be a two-way street. Obviously, I have so many mentors in this community. I'm so grateful for that. But I've found out through being a barber that I enjoy being a mentor to people, which is I never would have guessed.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that aspect of it. I'm happy you brought that up.
Yeah.
That part is pretty amazing.
It's touching, dude. It really is touching at times. Like I've teared up many times when like kids are starting to grow up and I can see them, you know, blossoming into new parts of their lives. I've had kids like go to college and come back in the summer and be like, Anthony, like, and they're so excited to tell me all the stories. And I'm like, bro, like I knew you when you were 12. This one kid I got, he's 6'10", 350 pounds, plays football out in California. And I've been cutting his hair since he was a little kid. And it's like to see him become this gigantic man. I'm like, holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's cool.
Yeah. Wow. I'm happy you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
That is touching.
It is.
Speaking of that, you don't have children, do you?
No.
Is that something that you're open to in the future?
I want to have kids.
Okay.
I mean, I'm 39, so I got some work to do. But my dad was 44 when I was born, so somehow that probably.
Did he have any more kids after that?
No.
44.
But he had my brother 12 years earlier, so I think I was a little, happy mistake later in life. But no.
You have one sibling?
Yeah, my brother, who's 12 years older than me.
Where is he at? What's he doing?
He's an organic farmer and a banjo player in a really well-known country band back in Pennsylvania.
What's the name of the band?
Frog Holler.
Let me write a note.
Frog Holler.
Is that something we can look up on Spotify?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
They're local legends back in Berks County. But my brother's wife is the farmer, and my brother is, right-hand man to his wife, and they run for 14 years now, I think 14 or 15 years, a certified organic produce farm called B&H Organics in Berks County. And
B what?
B&H Organics.
B&H Organics.
Yeah.
That's like an organic.
Bowers and Hearts.
Okay. It's like a farm, like a produce farm?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Small produce farm. I mean, I think it's a great, we can obviously go on a million tangents, but most people see the Amish community as a community that might, use clean farming practices, but they don't. Most Amish people are spraying pesticides and all that kind of stuff.
That is another whole topic. See, I don't know much about that. Wow.
Yeah. It's pretty. It is what it is. I mean, the Amish are just like any other community. There's different spectrum. It's a spectrum, but the Amish run like Lancaster and Berks County as far as farming goes. And the man who owns the land that my brother and his wife farm on was in the Amish community, but ended up leaving that community because he believed in organic food. Which again, we don't have to go deep into that, but yeah. So, organic. I think organic's important, and being certified organic, from what my sister-in-law tells me, is really important because it allows it. You have to pay a fair amount of money to be certified, but most of that money goes into lobbying to protect the certified organic food, because obviously there's big powers like Monsanto and these huge agriculture companies that want to like get rid of organic. They just want to be like, oh, we don't need to call it organic. Like it can be natural or whatever. It's like, no. Certified organic is very important because it protects us, the consumer, and it protects the farmers, and it maintains a level of, certifications that will make sure our food isn't genetically modified and isn't sprayed with harmful stuff, which I think ties right into tribe as well.
Well, yeah, that can really open up a lot of rabbit holes because
a million. Sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. I'm just going to see how I can golden thread this and to tribe, because tribe vitamins is, I don't think bison can be organic. It's like they're grass fed or they're grain finished. It's usually grass fed, grass finished, or grass fed, grain finished.
Right, and they can't certify the grass.
Yeah. Which would be an interesting thing to do.
Yeah.
Because there are some bison ranches that, for instance, never give them any antibiotics, hormones, or vaccines that I understand. They only eat grass their whole life, and they are harvested in the field. So they're not even like shipped off to. Yeah, it's like,
damn.
That seems like the ideal
Absolutely.
That seems like the best meat someone could get
Absolutely.
from like the grocery store.
Right. Because, and I mean, moving them puts a lot of stress into their blood.
That whole moving part, because then there are some suppliers that are 100% grass fed, grass finished that do send them to USDA suppliers.
Yeah.
And and then the organic thing is like, I'm starting to question what all is allowed under the label organic. And then, as you mentioned, the price of it. And I am that's awesome that your brother and his wife are able to do that. And it sounds like they're doing it successfully and probably doing it right from what
They
I can
are.
just
I
guess.
don't know. I don't know how they're definitely not. They live simply and they survive off their farm, but they're definitely not getting wealthy financially off of it. And that's a choice.
That other wealth, other deeper wealth.
Exactly, man.
Especially, talking about connecting with people, connecting with the land and understanding how to grow food from soil.
Oh,
that's quite the conscious connection right there.
I always say, like, I have an amazing apocalypse community. Like, it's like if shit hits the fan, I have some good people in my life where like I can grow food, I can build a fortress and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a prepper, but
I'll plant the seed for you and other people that might be listening that are into that. One of the supplier that I mentioned, everything field harvested, no needles, none of that. I do. One of my friends that works with me on this project with Tribe Vitamins, we may have thousands of pounds of that ground bison available because he was playing around with like a meat stick or something that might not go the way he thought it was. So if you're looking for a lot of the best meat on earth to put in like a chest freezer or someone that's listening, you can send me a message because I'm not sure if I want to like put that on the website and start dealing with shipping frozen meat.
No,
but for a friend that might want a lot of awesome meat, this might be a good lot.
I already have like 20 people that will take you up on that.
Okay,
so
all right.
Might already be spoken for.
I think it's a fair thing to consider. What'd you call it? Your apocalypse?
Yeah, my like apocalypse community.
Okay.
I'm not going to be having thousands of pounds of freeze dried food in my basement ever. Like I'm willing to take that risk, but as far as maybe 30, 40 pounds of good bison in the freezer, let's go.
And then bridging that too, we've talked a lot about different topics, but I think you mentioned that you're about to be 40, and then before the podcast, you were talking about how you've maybe shed how many pounds did you say you lost?
Only about 20 pounds, but my body in the last like 4 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's not like a super.
That's pretty good though. That's pretty
I've
healthy.
I've been 200 and I've been between 215 and 230 pounds since I was 16 years old, and I'm 39. Like I've never gotten super fat.
What's your height?
I used to be 6'3", but I shrunk an inch, 6'2".
Really? Do you really believe you shrunk an inch?
100%.
Whoa.
I did. Because I think it's because I work on my feet so much. Like it's actual compression.
Interesting. Wow.
But who knows? I feel like I could gain it back with right stretching, maybe a good chiropractor. I don't know.
Sleeping upside down.
Yes, exactly. Anyways.
New biohack.
So, are you doing that? Oh.
I'm just
wouldn't surprise me.
Someone's going to like figure out a way to do it now.
Wake up pretty, got a lot of blood in your head. But, I would love to transition to like some body hacks, you're obviously in incredible shape. And I think I'm coming at it from like the right with the right intention now. Like, whereas like when I was younger, I was like, I want to get a 6-pack and all this because I can look cool. But like now I'm just like, no, I think I just want to feel good. And I think part of that is lowering my body fat percentage. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, that this is a big topic. I mean, let me see how I can. I have been exposed to, so many different health ideas from so many different angles.
Yeah.
And I do very much probably revere when I like what works, what appears to work. So for instance, I really probably resonate mostly with these older guys, like the habits of what these older guys than me that I know do. And they're like anywhere between like 60 and 80 and like much more fit and vibrant than most 20-year-old college kids I pick up around here. So I just I'm a big believer in like seeing, like when I see results.
Yes. I completely agree. I just saw this video of like a 94-year-old Chinese guy doing those 2-finger pull-ups.
Okay. See, I would be very interested in learning from him.
Like what? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's
talk about a guru.
You could read 1,000 books, but you could go hang out with him.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
So, and it's funny, like a lot of the things that through all this experimentation that I've been naturally drawn to, it seems like it resonates with what these older guys are doing that are still vibing so high at an age that most people would say it's impossible. Because regardless of what age I've been, I've had so many people tell me things. Oh, wait till you're this age. Wait till you're this age. And probably in some ways I've gotten to that age of what some people have told me. And I'm like, I guess I feel like I'm getting fitter and I can keep going. So
for me, what I've noticed and I've been able to since I've started taking your liver pills, my joints have gotten stronger. But I started to notice around like 35, my joints started to hurt a little bit more.
So my camera is memory filled up, and the full podcast. So y'all know, if I could shit on you, you should go ahead and do it. You should subscribe to either the Spotify and/or the iTunes channel, and subscribe so you get notified of the next episodes, and leave a review so it supports the algorithm of the internet gods to get the Breaking Normal podcast out there to more people, because the more people that break the addiction approval, we get more addicted to authenticity, the better. And what I'll do is I'm going to also attach a little video I just made for this mastermind group to the end of this. And your joy of being job is to go to the Spotify or iTunes and subscribe to the Breaking Normal podcast, spread the word, keep breaking normal, and live the best life possible. Anthony's the man. You definitely want to check out the end of the interview. It's great. And we've only probably uploaded like 5% of the interviews on YouTube. So if this is the only place you're listening, you got to go to the place where you get the full interviews every time. Much love, y'all. And I'll also attach this video I just made for the local mastermind group. Thank y'all. Keep breaking normal. Let's grow with the flow and glow with the flow of life, baby. That's what we're here to do. Yo, aloha, Kyle and Rooted Community crew. Kyle, thanks for the intro. He asked me to do a little intro of myself. So here I am in the back of my car, because one of the little marketing experiments that I do is driving for Uber and Lyft around Boulder, like at surging times, and doing video interviews under the hashtag #YoUberTube. And this is what it looks like when they sit in the back seat. You got the Breaking Normal book on display, forward written by JP Sears. It's on Audible. And I also have this little display here that promotes the Breaking Normal podcast, that promotes my supplement company, Tribe Vitamins. We were the first company to encapsulate 100% grass-fed, grass-finished, raw, freeze-dried bison liver, heart, and testicles. And then we created a tallow balm, an edible skin superfood, white chocolate. We also have peaches and cream, and a CBD one we've been prototyping with Matt's CBD. Matt Chandler, Stephanie Kwong, and I used to all live together in a little mountain mansion during the pandemic, and we had an amazing community. The thing I'm working on right now, and if I could do an ask, I will also send an Indiegogo link. I think we have 9 days left on the world's first bison bone broth chips, patent pending. This is kind of what they look like. This is one ingredient, bison bones, and it is loaded with collagen and gelatin. I love putting this in my coffee, so next time we all hang out, we'll have to put some of this in your coffee, and if you don't drink your coffee, it'll turn into Jell-O. And if you've ever tried any of the bone broth at the marketplace, like at grocery stores, you'll see it's liquid and shelf stable. I don't know how they do that, but I wouldn't recommend it. Let's see, is there anything else? Wild Pastures, let's go. We'll probably see y'all there. Love anyone that is committed to cultivating community as Kyle and this tribe is. As that's what I did for 11 years before moving to Boulder. I hosted health retreats every quarter. And it was a lot about tribe design and the art of tribe design and breaking the addiction to approval and getting addicted to authenticity instead. And if you want to hear the most authentic crunch in the world, get yourself some of these. I will send a link again to that in the Om Daddy video. And keep breaking normal, y'all. Looking forward to remembering a great future for this community and all of our communities.